we go into this class, I want to appreciate everyone who has taken time to watch videos on this channel. I want to appreciate those who have commented, those who shared, those who liked. Thank you very much. I love you. I want to appreciate you all for the love you have for this channel. In today's class, we're going to be learning digestion and process of digestion in human. You might have been wondering why you eat and you have to eat again and again and again, or you even wonder why you defecate daily. All these and more of the questions you have in your mind are going to be answered by today's lesson. All you need is to sit up, watch carefully, listen carefully, and learn. You first need to understand the word digestion. Digestion is the process by which large molecules or complex molecules of food substances are broken down into smaller pieces or smaller molecules that the body can process, that the body can make use of. Let's take, for example, you have a bowl containing a meal. After you've taken this meal is in the form of a large molecule. It contains smaller molecules that are built up to form that big meal that you have. After the process of digestion has taken place, this food is reduced to its smallest unit. That's the language that your body cells understand. For example, your carbohydrates in your rice are broken down into smaller units: glucose, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Smallest, the simplest form that this your food can be utilized by your body cells for proper growth, for maintaining good health and other metabolic processes. There are organs that are associated with digestion. We have the alimentary canal and the associate organs that are producing digestive enzymes. This alimentary canal is the passage of food, is the passage that the food passes through from the mouth to the anus, and it is made up of the buccal cavity, or you call it mouth. Then we have an esophagus, we have the stomach, the small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and finally we have the anus. The associate organs that produce juice, we have the liver and we have the pancreas. Now let's move on to the process of digestion. The process of digestion occurs mechanically and chemically at different stages of the alimentary canal. The first one is in the mouth, then followed by the stomach, and finally in the small intestine. In the mouth, the food is ingested and it is mechanically broken down by the action of the teeth on it. This is known as mastication. The mastication or broken down or chewing of food create large surface area so that the enzymes or digestive enzymes can penetrate them very well for proper digestion of the food. In the process of chewing the food, the salivary gland in the mouth produces saliva from the salivary gland. The saliva contains an enzyme called ptyalin, which acts mainly on starchy food. In the process of chewing, the saliva lubricates and moistens the food so that it sticks together and it is easy to swallow it. Having gotten the masticated food lubricated and well moistened, it is pushed by the tongue to the back of the tongue, where it is rolled into bolus, a structure like this. This bolus passes through the pharynx, where the epiglottis covers the trachea, the surface of the trachea, to permit the food enter into the esophagus. The bolus entered into the esophagus and it is moved down by peristaltic movement, that is the alternate contraction and relaxation of the muscles of the esophagus. This is known as peristaltic movement. Yes, peristaltic movement. The bolus enters into the stomach from the esophagus when there is the relaxation of the muscular band, or you call it ring of muscle, at the upper part of the stomach, that is called cardiac sphincter. When it relaxes, the food enters into the stomach. When the cardiac sphincter relaxes, there is another sphincter below or at the end of the stomach. This is called pyloric sphincter. It is held tightly to permit the food stay in the stomach, so that it won't be as the food is getting in, so it is leaving through the posterior end of the stomach. Now, digestion of food in the stomach. The food stays in the stomach for about 3 to 4 hours. The walls of the stomach relax and contract forcefully. This is known as churning. It churns the food together with the enzymes that are produced by the walls or the lining of the stomach. These enzymes are known as gastric juices. They are pepsin and renin. The pepsin converts protein into polypeptides, meaning that the digestion of protein starts from the stomach. Then we have renin. The renin curdles or coagulates milk so that the conversion of this protein can be made easy by the pepsin to convert it into polypeptide. Okay. Apart from these gastric juices is the hydrochloric acid that is produced in a diluted form. This hydrochloric acid has many functions. Number one, it kills bacteria that are eaten together with the food. Number two, it creates acidic medium for this pepsin and renin to work. And lastly, it activates the pepsin and renin so that they become active and they are able to carry out the process of digestion. What do I mean? For example, pepsin is produced as an inactive precursor, pepsinogen. If pepsin has been produced as pepsin, it digests protein. It would have digested the stomach itself. But to prevent it from digesting the stomach, it is produced as a form that is harmless. So in the presence of hydrochloric acid, it is being activated into pepsin so that it can start to digest proteins that are in the food or in the stomach. After the churning action of the stomach wall together with the gastric juices and the hydrochloric acid, the food that entered into stomach has been made into a semi-solid or a thick fluid called chyme. After 3 to 4 hours of the food in the stomach, the pyloric sphincter at the end of the stomach relaxes and the chymes are gradually moved into the small intestine. Now, digestion of food in the small intestine. The small intestine is divided into 3 parts. We have the first part, which is the upper part, and it is called duodenum. Number 2, we have the middle or the second segment of the small intestine, and that is jejunum. And lastly, which is the lowest part or the latter part of the small intestine, is called ileum. Immediately the food leaves the stomach, it enters into the duodenum. In the duodenum, the process of digestion continues. Starch starts from the mouth, protein in the stomach, and it is in the duodenum that we have the starting of digestion of fat and oil. And it all starts by the release of bile from the gallbladder, that bag that is associated with the liver. It contains a greenish alkaline fluid called bile, and it is released through the bile duct into the duodenum. When it gets there, it emulsifies fats and make it ready for proper digestion. Apart from the fact that bile emulsifies fats, it also neutralizes the acidic action of hydrochloric acid in the food that was coming from the stomach. Not only that, anytime there is neutralization reaction, chemistry told us that there will always be production of water. As a result of this, the food in the duodenum becomes more watery and it is known as chyle. And lastly, the bile gives stool its color. It is responsible for the color of the stool at the end of it all, the one that is digested and it is flushed in the water closet. It is bile that is responsible for that color. Apart from the action of bile in the duodenum, the pancreas also produces pancreatic juices that are also released through the pancreatic duct into the duodenum. These pancreatic juices consist of trypsin. It also contains pancreatic amylase and it contains pancreatic lipases. The trypsin converts proteins into polypeptides. Not all the proteins that are being digested in the stomach. So those ones that escape digestion in the stomach are being digested by trypsin. The pancreatic amylase digests any starch that has escaped digestion in the mouth. It converts them into maltose. Now, the just emulsified fat is being converted into fatty acid and glycerol by the pancreatic lipases, and that's digestion of food in the duodenum. Digestion in the ileum. Ileum is the latter part of the small intestine. This is where total digestion occurs. All classes of carbohydrates, talk about the monosaccharide, the disaccharide, the polysaccharide, all of them are being digested finally in the ileum. There is total digestion of protein. Likewise, there is total digestion of fat and oil. The total digestion is initiated by the production of intestinal juices in the ileum. These include maltase. Maltase is the enzyme that convert maltose into glucose, meaning that the maltose that have been converted right from mouth in the duodenum, they have been reduced to their smallest unit, which is glucose. Then we have lactase, converting lactose into glucose and galactose. Then we have sucrase, which is an enzyme converting sucrose into glucose and fructose. And by this, we have the total digestion of carbohydrates. For protein, we have erepsin, and erepsin converts all polypeptides into amino acid. Thus, we have the digestion of protein completed. For fat and oil, we have lipases produced in the ileum to convert fat and oil that escape digestion in the duodenum into fatty acid and glycerol to complete the digestion of fat and oil. So in the small intestine, the food is finally digested. Not only that, after the food are all digested, there is absorption of digested food materials. The lining of the ileum has finger-like structures that are called villi. These villi are highly vascularized, well supplied with blood vessels. We have food molecules that are digested, be it carbon, hydrogen, sulfur, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus. We have them absorbed and they pass through the hepatic portal vein into the liver, where they are moved into the bloodstream. And the blood distributes this digested food round the body, and they are taken to the body cells by the blood capillaries for utilization. That is assimilation. Now, the undigested food is then passed to the ascending arm of the large intestine. The large intestine is also known as the colon. Then it moves down the descending arm of the colon. In the movement of undigested food in the colon, water is reabsorbed from them by the process known as osmosis, so that we can have a fairly solid molecules piled up in the rectum, and they are finally egested from the body through the anus. I want to believe that one thing or the other has been added to your knowledge about digestion. Isn't it fascinating to see process occurring in you? And that is why you need to love biology the more. That is why you have to share this video with your friends. This is why you have to watch this video with your children. If you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please do so that you will not be missing classes, so that you get notified immediately a video is posted on this channel. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in the next class.